chopping Medusa's head off, and it's really clever.
Yeah, it's really clever. He actually mails it in a box. To
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. We are back at it again with another review episode for Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It is the new Disney Plus show. It's based off the very, very self-acclaimed book series, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief series, the whole 9 yards. And this is a very, very popular set of books that amongst the stories of like Harry Potter and other series of unfortunate events and other books like that kind of targets the same audience age group. And I think that they made 2 movies back in the 2000s. I mean, we're still in the 2000s, but
technically we still are.
But I mean, like, you know, we had one with Logan Lerman as Percy, and I remember the first movie being really good, and then the second movie was just complete dog poop. So
there was movie adaptations before the show came out.
Okay. Yeah, and they like I said, the first movie was really good, which is what this season covered. Was the Lightning Thief book, and then the second movie is called The Sea of Monsters, and it was just bad all around, especially for people who read the book. I mean, it wasn't as bad for me because I didn't read the books. Like, I only read the first book about 3/4 of the way through. I never finished it, so I got to actually like finish the story watching this. And I never watched like anything like this before, at least in terms of adaptations from book to show. I think they did a fantastic job with this series. But yeah, we're going to talk about all of this in this episode today. And before we get into it, I'd just like to remind everybody, if you like our content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really goes a long way and it helps us a lot. And if you want to support us even more, you can go over to patreon.com/thecalvincam. Join one of our 3 tiers there. And, you know, it helps us. It really, really does. And thank you so much, by the way, everyone, for tuning in. So let's get back in it. We have season 1, like I said, of Percy Jackson, and I think this was a fantastic season of television. I think that it's really good, especially for a Disney Plus show. A lot of them are hit and misses, but I think that we nailed a really great cast, and we have really great content to enroll this cast in, and I think that ultimately we were rewarded with a wonderful performance by everyone and a beautiful story.
Yeah. I really like this because it delves into Greek mythology. And in Greek mythology, the gods always play some sort of role with the mortals. And I liked the whole idea of the, multiple, because obviously Zeus, isn't it, for example, he slept and had many mortal wives. So therefore there'd be demigods. And so I like the whole twist on the show having demigods like all over the place.
Yeah, it's cool, the concept, the idea that all of these demigods are all kind of like in a protection group, kind of, and they join this school, kind of like Hogwarts with Harry Potter, but they join this school to like master their selves, their powers, their abilities, etc. And they get placed into their individual houses under their parents' names, and I think that it does a really good job of playing on the pantheon of the Greek mythology. So
yes. And then we have Percy. The show starts and we have Percy, he's exploring himself and he's seeing that he sees these things and he knows he's kind of different than all of his average kids. Like, he's seeing things that are in the normal world that don't make sense to him.
Exactly.
And we realize that when he's just there and he's just seeing these things, and then he meets a friend, Grover, yeah. So he meets Grover, and Grover's a satyr. So
yeah, he's
kind of his protector through this, and he like plays D&D to him. He's like he's a good friend, to Percy. Like, overall, he's been friends with him for a long time.
He was someone who was set up to be Percy's friend and kind of his like quote unquote guardian, to like guide him, not necessarily, guide him morally until he comes of age to learn of his real parents and stuff like that. His real father, anyway, I should say, because he's obviously with his mom and his beat dead stepdad or step whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so he plays a role. He's just basically his protector. He's kind of the voice of reason as we go through this through the episodes.
He's definitely the Jiminy Cricket character.
Yeah. So you have him, and he meets Grover, and then he goes through all these things, and he meets Chiron, which is basically, I don't remember the real world teacher's name, but he basically talks about the gods and stuff like that, and so we have him. In this whole thing, we also have Electo, which is one of the the deities that he sees.
Yeah, it's like what you would call it, like oh my god, I'm spacing. He is she's like a henchman basically of Hades, and she's after Percy because she knows what he is, and demigods are sought after to be eliminated. So. But she doesn't know whose demigod he is. She doesn't know because Percy is. I don't think we went over this yet, but Percy is, for those of you who don't know, he is a forbidden demigod. He's a child of one of the big three.
Yeah.
So they are not allowed to procreate.
And so we have her, and then we have obviously Percy's mom, and she kind of. As he's trying to find out, he wants to have an actual conversation because he keeps seeing these visions and he has these dreams about a certain individual.
Yeah.
And then he basically says, "Mom, we got to talk." So that's when his mom kind of reveals what is going on.
Yeah. And then we get sprung into the whole entire season of the show, which is about basically his mom ends up not dying, like, quote unquote not dying, when Percy finally comes to a confrontation with a Minotaur. Hades secretly sweeps in, captures his mom, prevents her from dying, and at the very same time, the lightning bolt, Zeus's lightning bolt, is missing. So that kind of like sends them off on their quest. He ends up at camp, he loses his mom, and there's somebody who is really pissed off the gods. And has stolen something precious. So it's like he's thrown into a world where a lot is happening and he has to adapt really quickly. And he does. He does adapt really quickly. Luckily, he has a really great support group when he does finally go to camp. Not just Chiron, or even Dionysus, which is a really hilarious character to me. He's the god of wine. And I just think that obviously Jason Mantzoukas is hilarious. I love him in everything that he's in.
He was awesome as this character, and we also his other support group is he had Chiron.
Yeah,
and he finally reveals that Chiron is a centaur, and you also have. He finally meets like all the other demigods at camp. So he goes to camp and he meets. Luke. Yes, he meets Luke, and then he kind of builds a friendship with Luke, and then Luke kind of introduces him to Annabeth.
Yep, and Annabeth is Luke's like not real sister, but adopted sister, basically, because they went through a trauma together. And Annabeth is becomes one of Percy's like pretty much best friends, close trio, for those of you who don't know. But she is amazing. I think that her acting was fantastic in this movie, or in this show, excuse me. And I mean, they all did a really great job. All their performances were really great. But like her specifically, I thought that she acted wonderful.
Yeah, I thought her acting among the trio, being Percy, Annabeth, and Grover. Mm-hmm. Grover, right?
Yeah, Grover.
Yeah. The trio, which most of the show is after, Percy finds out who he is, and he's put on a quest, and and they kind of go through training, and they kind of test him in a way. They test him to see if he's capable of doing what he needs to do. And
I feel like they also like use that specific training to figure out where he belongs, like which house he belongs in. And that's where they discover that he's actually a forbidden child. He's
a forbidden child, and he's one of the big three. He is Poseidon's son.
Yeah. And he's already, it's funny because he's a new kid in this school and is an immediate target, especially by like Ares's children, like Clarissa, who tries to basically straight up like murk him.
Yeah.
But he ends up, defeating her in the game that they play. And then, from there, it basically goes on and we get into, it kind of jumpstarts the whole series. And
it jumpstarts the whole series of he's on a quest to find the Zeus's bolt and find out why the gods are mad at each other, like Zeus and Hades. So they go on a quest. He picks like I said, Annabeth, Grover, and himself, and they go on this quest in the real world.
Yep. And it's cool because you get to see the interactions on their journey of like the different hidden Greek things throughout the real world. We get to meet Medusa, and she's really awesome. I think that she is portrayed pretty well. I don't like that her scene is really quick. I felt like it was a very fast interaction. But I get it. They're cramming one book into a whole 9 episodes, or 8 episodes. But it's just I wish there was like a little bit more of a confrontation with her, because I felt like it just kind of was like, oh, she invited us into our home. She's cool. She actually has a little insight on Athena, who is actually not as good as she proclaims to be, which for those of you who are like Greek mythology fans and stuff, we know that the gods suck. All the gods suck pretty hard. So they all kind of like play for their own team. So it's we find out, not everything's black and white.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And then we get the confrontation where Percy ends up chopping Medusa's head off, and it's really clever.
Yeah, it's really clever. He actually mails it in a box to the headquarters, which is basically Mount Olympus, right?
Yeah, he's like, this is how to piss him off.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting too. And we also have Alecto. She's like running around this whole time.
Well, she's like the pursuing force, I say.
Yeah, you see her there at Medusa's place, and then when they go to St. Louis to the Arch. That's when they really have the battle with her. I mean, she's on the train too, but she's really her presence is felt like at the Arch.
Yeah,
like when Percy has a confrontation with her.
Yep, and then basically it leads us further down the road. We end up meeting Ares, and that's a cool interaction. Because it leads into something further down the road. And we even I love the casino bit with Hermes. I think that that's really clever.
I really liked that. I can't remember the Greek mythos character, but he's trying to find Pan because Pan's been lost. And,
his uncle, Grover's uncle.
Grover's trying to find Pan, and he kind of he gets tricked into getting into VR, so he's kind of like forgetting his environment.
Yeah, it's an interesting place.
He's being seduced by, I guess, Hermes's place, the casino.
And so then we get that interaction, and then that leads us forward even more. So we end up going to the amusement park that's booby trapped, and there's Hephaestus, who they really quickly, I feel. Thinking about it, I'm just like, the problems with this show, I think, is that it moves a little fast.
It does move a little fast.
Like, it definitely could be a little bit, it could have a better pace. And I'm not saying that it has bad pacing, because it's good pacing for what it is. You're trying to cram a book into 9 or 8 episodes. I think it's good.
Someone that hasn't been familiarized with the Percy Jackson universe like myself, I know a little bit about Greek mythology, just like a regular Greek mythology. So having this twist on it is kind of like different.
Yeah. And it's cool. It's not like you're lost in the information. You're getting everything that's presented to you. There's no confusion really. It's just, I feel like these sequences of their travel, their journey, just moves a little fast. And I just think I don't know. I wish it just, whoa, buddy, like slow down. Maybe 2 more episodes would have been nice and like crammed more information in these episodes, because these episodes were only like 30 to 40 something minutes long each, and varied on which episode was what. And I just think we could have got a little bit more, but eventually leads to the last couple of episodes, which are phenomenal, if you ask me. I really, really enjoyed at least the last 2 episodes. I thought they were fantastic, especially with Percy finally confronting Ares, and the whole discovering that Ares, quote unquote, took the lightning bolt, quote unquote, which we find out is not the case that happens. And then we also get the underworld like bit. So then they go to the underworld and they meet Hades, and Hades is like, I'm not the bad guy. Like, I don't give a shit. Really. I'm not trying to start no war or anything like that. I just want my helm back.
Yeah.
And so you find out that it wasn't Hades. It was
Kronos.
Yeah. Yeah.
These dreams that Percy was having, he thought they were Hades, but they ended up being Kronos. That he was thinking about Kronos, and it wasn't Hades.
Yeah.
He was dreaming, I should say. Yep.
And then we get the whole finale with Lance Reddick, one of his last performances. And he played Zeus, and it was fantastic. You can feel his presence. He's a very, very talented, or was a very, very talented, strong actor, and like he is definitely a loss to this world. So forever may you rest in power, Lance Reddick. I just, he did a fantastic job, and I think that
so did Toby Stevens, the guy that played Poseidon.
Yeah, he did a good,
and he
cool
was
job.
part of the last 2 episodes too, with when he has that engagement with his mother, like saying the whole thing. I'll be there when I need to be there. When he's ready, I'll be there.
Yeah,
for that moment, and you see that moment with him there. So I thought his presence in the last couple episodes was cool.
Yeah, he did a really great job. And I loved his interaction with Percy too on Mount Olympus. I thought that was really cool, and I also love the way that Mount Olympus looked. It looked really cool. I thought it was awesome.
I thought it was awesome. Also, we didn't mention it earlier, since we're kind of almost wrapping up our episode, is the stepdad was like the Oracle.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought that was freaking hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. So, it's funny. But yeah, we got that, and then we finally, get back to camp. We're celebrating. We got the fact that Ares is working for Kronos and all that stuff, and then we finally get the twist. And by the way, we have been spoiling this episode, so it's not a surprise if you've been watching this long. But spoiler alert for the big twist, it actually turned out to be Luke who stole the lightning bolt.
Yep, Luke is the one that was conspiring. There's a scene where he was. I think they were in the truck that Ares had put them in, and that's when Luke appears, and they talk about and reveal things, and Luke then conspires against them, and he's in cahoots with Kronos.
Yep, and he's trying to recruit the demigods to rise against the regular gods, and it's just there we go. We're sent off on the entire journey of the book series.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, I thought that this series was really good. I'm excited for more. I wish there was more right now, but it's sad that the season was so quickly. But a lot of Disney Plus shows are really only 8 episodes long. If you've watched the Star Wars episodes, they're only roughly around 8 episodes. And I just, all in all, if I were to review this season, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I think that it could have done a lot of, pacing for me. I feel like it could have slowed things down, and that's never the case. But I really wish that it would take its time with a little bit more fleshed out battles and confrontations with some of these gods. It would just be cool to see. And I think that all in all, the acting was fantastic. The cinematography was great. The editing, the post editing was interesting. Like there are some cuts that are like unbearable. And Anthony, like, I know exactly.
Yes, the cuts are unbearable.
There's these random cuts in the episodes that are just fade to black, and it's like, why did that happen? But all in all, I just think that it's funny because it's like, are they trying to account for the people who don't pay for the full subscription to Disney and incorporate the ads in those blank spots? Because I don't know. I have the like Disney Plus subscription and I don't see ads. So I wonder if like those fade to black moments are for ad placement. That's all I could think of.
That's an interesting theory because it might be true. I don't know.
Back in the day, before streaming services, we had cable television and we had commercials that were 5 minutes long. And during your shows, you'd have 2 parts of it where we would cut to commercial and you'd be interrupted. Especially if you're watching anime, there's like a big, they had outro intros into the middle of the episodes for commercial placement.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it could be that. It could totally be that.
Yeah, I was just thinking a little bit deeper into it, I guess. But yeah, all in all, 4 out of 5. I give it. What do you think, Anthony?
I'm gonna give this a 4.
All right.
Just the same thing. I did like the whole Greek mythology, the whole twist with basically the demigods and the humans interaction, because that is a part of Greek mythology. So that's cool. The story was cool. I'm gonna agree with you. The pacing, we could have got more. We could have got more. Maybe 2 more episodes would be good to kind of flesh out a couple of things. Other than that, the music was good. I don't want to reiterate your words, but yeah, that the cut scenes, the scene cuts on sequencing is really bad in this, and it kind of like it disengages you from the experience of watching this.
It really takes you out of
show. So that's where it hits me hard there. Also, one final thing that I really did like about it was the opening and ending credits. Like the ending credits, the animations, and the sequencing was really good.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
other than that, that would be why I give this show a 4.
Sick. All right. 4 all around. Let us get into it. Since that was our review for Percy Jackson and the Olympians season 1, we'll give you some Percy Jackson fun facts about this show. So here we go. Ready? One of Rick Riordan's chief complaints about Percy Jackson and Olympians, the Lightning Thief 2010 movie, was the aging up of Percy and other characters to be in their late teens. As a result, when writing the pilot for the series, he was particularly stating that Percy was 12 years old. There are 5 planned seasons of this show, each adapting 1 book from the series. So that's, exciting to look forward to. Rick Riordan had planned to enter a semi-retirement and pursue his PhD when Disney approached him about the series. The series' conjunction with the proposed Netflix adaptation of the Kane Chronicles made him reconsider and ultimately delay his plans. The series will adapt the first Camp Half-Blood series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians season 1 will adapt The Lightning Thief. Jessica Parker Kennedy, who was Medusa, and Toby Stevens, Poseidon, previously worked together on Black Sails, which was a 2014 show.
Oh, cool.
Lance Reddick appeared in Don't Say a Word with Sean Bean, who played Zeus in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief movie.
Oh, cool.
Toby Stevens previously starred in Die Another Day alongside Pierce Brosnan, who played Chiron in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief movie.
Nice.
Stevens also played James Bond in multiple BBC radio adaptations, making him unofficially the second former James Bond to be associated with Percy Jackson franchise after Brosnan, and officially the second Bond villain after Sean Bean.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one for sure. I love how these actors all stayed around.
Integrated with it.
Integrated with the franchise a little bit.
And then let's see. Walker Scobell was the first actor cast with writer Rick Riordan. Knew from the first viewing of Walker's audition tape that he was perfect for Percy. But they still auditioned over 300 more boys before deciding on Walker. Once chosen, he had to be involved in the grueling process of 3 chemistry reads with each of 11 other actors who made the final cut for the roles of Annabeth and Grover before Lee and Arian were finally cast.
That's cool.
Yeah. There is not a lot of trivia facts from the site that we're pulling, so we're going to wrap it there. Thank you all so much for listening, and remember to support us. Have a good night.
And we'll see you on the flip side for the next one.
Thank you all so much for tuning into the Calvin Cam podcast. We appreciate you all so very, very much. And if you like us, hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps us out, as well as you can go over to our social media platforms like Instagram or X and follow us over there. We like to communicate and build our community up, as well as you could also go to patreon.com/thecalvincam and join one of our 3 tiers that we offer. We offer a couple of different benefits per tier, and it's good stuff, and it would really, really help us, and we'd really appreciate it, of course. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.